Hi there. Okay. For those of you who didn't make it tonight, or those of you who did come but they want a little bit of a refresher, and actually the meeting hasn't really started yet. I'm filming this in advance. I've got a list here of the scriptures that I'm sharing, and I will read some of them off to you. I have actually made two of these by hand. I was not able to get copies done on a machine, but so if you're here and you decide to get one, that's great. Um, Otherwise, I'll have to ask somebody to type them up for me. Here's the deal. Zechariah 3:39. By the way, we're talking about the names of the Lord, and I expect this is gonna take a while. So we're gonna start this week, and then we'll see how it goes. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 3 through 9. That's one of your verses. Jeremiah 23:5. Jeremiah 33:15, Zechariah 6:12. And what you got to know about these verses is that they talk about the branch. And they write it in all caps, like a name. And that's because the rabbis, even in the Old Testament, recognized that when God talked about the branch, he was referring to the Messiah. Interestingly enough, the name Nazareth has two meanings, one of which is watchtower, and the other which is branch. So guess what? Jesus is from the branch. He's from Nazareth. And the name of the Lord is a strong tower, which we'll get to in a minute. There's also some verses about a high priest named Joshua. And he lived towards the end of the captivity. King Darius was the king of Persia at the time. It's the same Darius, I believe, who had Daniel in the lion's den. But there was a high priest at the time named Joshua, and God decided to use him as an object lesson for the prophets, and would frequently he'd say, have Joshua do this or Joshua do that. He was trying to tell Joshua to rebuild the temple, which is a direct instruction, but at the same time, he was punning the fact that Joshua's name was the same name that we call Messiah, Yeshua. So he was making a reference to Messiah at the same time that he's giving just instructions to this guy. He's sort of like God's living object lesson. I want to say God's living pun. I don't know if the Lord works that way. I don't need to be irreverent. So, anyway, so some of those are going to be referenced in those chapters. All right. Let's see. Psalm 61:3. I'm not taking time to read the verses now. We read them in the meeting. Which is going to start in a little bit. So, but anyway, I want you to check them out. Okay. But we will read some of these in the meeting. Okay. Psalm 61:3 and Proverbs 8:10. Now, at 8:10, this is the one I talked about. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. However, I had a little bit of fun. I have, I call it fun. It's really educational. I have a Bible program called eSword, and the nice thing about it is it has Strong's dictionary notes built into one of its translations. And being a computer program, they're hyperlinked, which makes it even more fun. But you can actually get like even a regular Bible with Strong's notes in it, if you go to like the Christian bookstores and that. And it's probably worthwhile to use one of those things. But if you can't afford it, go online, go to esword.net, and get eSword for your computer. It's well worth it. It's free, and oh my goodness, I learned so much this way. Anyway, where was I? Okay, Proverbs 8, verse 10. Instead of reading the name of the Lord is a strong tower, I read it with the names of the Lord plugged in from Strong's notes. So what it actually says is, Hashem of I am is a strong tower. And when I say I am, actually it's the four-letter unpronounceable name of God. So Hashem of YHWH is a strong tower. But I read that as I am because that's what that means. I am that I am. Okay? So, having read that, we now come to our Lord. So having plugged in the name, there is the Hebrew word for salvation, or God saves, is Strong's number 3444. This is important. It is the word Yeshua. That is literally the word. And it is also our Messiah's name. And when you have your eyes open to start looking for it, you're going to see all kinds of crazy things all over the Bible, not just in the New Testament. Stuff that, quite frankly, if I were Jewish and I was on the edge and wondering, is he really Messiah? This stuff would get my attention if I even knew what I was looking at. So we have to pray that the Lord opens people's eyes. But anyway, so we get into Genesis 49:18. And this is with, like I said, with the definitions of the words plugged in. I have waited for thy Yeshua, O I am. Exodus 14:13. This is when the children of Israel had crossed the Red Sea. I don't know if you were at King's Cross when we talked about how that miracle actually happened, and our friend Anthony actually demonstrated the physics of some of how that could have worked in my sink. It was kind of wild. Anyway, afterwards, the people praising, or no, actually, before and afterwards, I'm going to give you one of each. First, there's the before. As he's standing at the edge of the Red Sea, and he's just gotten his instructions from the Lord to hold the rod out. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, continue to stand still, and see the Yeshua of I am, which he will work for you today. Exodus 15:2 says, Yahweh is my strength, security, majesty, and praise, and my song, and he has become my Yeshua. Get that. I am has become my Yeshua. Okay? Now, some of the, again, you'll notice if you read the normal text, you'll understand that I've expanded out the definitions a bit. But the definitions are not off base. They come straight out of Strong's. And you can check that out for yourself. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to do that. We used to have, at our old house before we moved, a special Bible from Mom that was called, what was it called? Like an annotated or expanded Bible or something like that. I'm trying to remember the definition of it. This one lady in the early 20th century had put it together where she actually went through the definitions of a lot of the really fancy words and had literally put down like almost all the permutations of definitions for each and every word in the Bible. It was really, it took a while to read, and it got a little bit cumbersome in style after a while. But man, could you get insights out of that thing. Because you'd sit there and you'd be, instead of one word, it would have a whole string of words, but they would all be individual definitions of what the actual text was. And it was pretty amazing. So, at any rate, that's what I have for this week at King's Cross. For those of you who are coming, we'll be glad to see you here. If you didn't make it, feel free to use this to double check your notes. And for those of you who didn't make it, well, hope you make it sometime. If not, fine. God bless. And we'll see you later. All right, bye.